I think the strongest bullish case is definitely the developer talent in India.
Today we have with us, I'll go in alphabetical order. We have Abhinav from Woodstock Fund. We have Avinash, who's the vice president from Kalari Capital. We have Vish, who's my friend, but he's also strategy and operations lead at Sino Global Capital. In the same order, let's do a small introduction. Let's get to know the human side of you. Abhinav, would you like to start with yourself?
Definitely. Thank you so much for having us, Dheeraj, and thanks for the short introduction. So I'll just introduce myself. I'm Abhinav. I'm a research partner at Woodstock Fund and have been with the fund for about a year and a half. I have a major in computer science and a minor in finance from Pilani, Goa campus, and I've been involved in the blockchain space since 2019. Initially, I worked with IBM for a few months, and then did not like the Web3 space. So then I started doing a lot of research on the blockchain side because it was something that intrigued me, especially the Bitcoin white paper. Then I worked with University of New South Wales as an undergraduate researcher on blockchain-based intrusion detection systems, and then I started working at Woodstock. So at Woodstock, I generally focus on research, investments, and technology side of things, especially on the infrastructure side.
Oh, sweet. Whom do you follow?
Just Premier League in general. I support Chelsea,
Awesome.
and I occasionally support Real Madrid as well on the La Liga side.
Nice. I'm an Arsenal fan, so
Massive respect.
Yeah. So if you can support Arsenal and Liverpool for all these years, I think you can invest in crypto. So that's
long-term vision. Appreciate.
Yeah. Hodl for life, right? So Aravind is here. Hey Aravind, how are you doing? Just want to do a small sound check.
Hey, yes, sorry I'm late.
No problem.
Yeah, Twitter app wasn't downloading, so I had to borrow a phone.
That's okay. That's
finally here.
But you're here, so that works. So we were just doing small rounds of introduction. So Arvind is representing FTX. He's heading FTX India. But I would like to know a little bit more about the human side of Arvind.
Awesome, sure. So yeah, I'm from India originally. I was born in India. I left India when I was 7 and moved to Ireland, and I grew up in Ireland, spent most of my life there. Got into crypto and trading around 2016. Initially, just trading, working in a prop trading firm called Susquehanna, trading options, and then eventually got into crypto about a couple of months later. Started doing crypto full time around 2017 and did that for about 2 years. Left crypto during the depths of the bear market. Came back in 2020. Worked as a trader at Alameda Research for the last 1 year. And then over the last couple of months, I'm becoming more and more excited about the Web3 space in India and Indian people building in the space. So yeah, about 2 months ago, moved over to FTX to look at India VC stuff through FTX Ventures, and also trying to figure out what our FTX India plans are, and trying to set up operations in India so more people from India can get more involved in Web3.
That's awesome. Nice to meet you, Arvind. I think we are interacting for the first time, so that's nice. Avinash, how are you doing? You are a vice president at Kalari, and you've headed a lot of you've done a lot of Web2 investments as well. This is something new for you guys, so I just want to understand first about you, and then we can go on to the deeper philosophy later. What's your
plan? So been with Kalari for about 4 years now. And so just to give a background, Kalari is an early stage VC, been in India since 2006, approximately about $750 million under management. And some of the biggest companies we have invested in are like Dream11, CureFit, Elastic Run, and so on. So in terms of Web3, I think one of the earliest investments, which wasn't a direct investment, which came as an offshoot, was WazirX in the initial days. I think I'm talking about 2017-18. And then as of now, we have also made our largest ever first check investment in a company called Guardian. So we are very bullish on the Web3 space. So I personally work on Web3, SaaS, and deep tech at Kalari. And so all my responsibilities go from sourcing investments, helping with the portfolio as well as managing exits and growth investments. So that's a background there. That's a background on Kalari as well. And I think we're a traditional VC firm trying to move to the other side of Web3 and figuring out as it goes as of now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nice to have you here. I mean, I did want to have like a variety of people who come from extremely different background to just understand the broader perspective of the space. So nice to have your Wish is here, who's an ape with laser eyes. But like, what do you do, Wish?
Hey Dheeraj, like
Tell us about your background. Sorry, not what do you do.
yeah, like I'm an engineer by education, then worked as a data analyst with respect to HCL technologies. Um, like then had this weird idea that I could crack the Indian civil services. Went on with that for about 6 years. Gave a couple of interviews. Then like during that time, 2016, 17, like I was like into crypto, looking at BTC, ETH. That was the first time I heard about rare pepes and all that. Post that, like everyone lost a lot of money, I think in like 2017, 18 crash. Yeah, so like I was back on the street in a way, like, McDonald's at like for the win in a way. So back then, like 2019, 20 is when I again got back in, understood more with respect to the technology, understood more with respect to trading, was a trader for a long time. Then just understood that let's jump onto the space to like as a formal career of sorts. Jumped on, got into Sino. I think like I've been in Sino I think for about 6 months now. We're currently like heading their strategy and operations for India.
Wow, it's been 6 months. I just remember like it's a day prior, like we were talking, like, oh, you joined Sido. It's, oh my god, time flies so fast and so slow in Web3. But guys, before I move on to next questions, I have a request. If you uh like just go and share this Twitter spaces so more people know that like we're doing this. Speakers, I would request the same from you. You can tag us, you can not tag, that's fine, but let's get more people involved and learn with each other and and grow. So I think I'll directly get into questions. We'll go backwards now. Vish, tell me what's the bullish case on India from your team. Why are you guys bullish on India?
It's multiple things, to be honest. Like, first of all, like it's the people, right? Like, very tech, very young, very like they have a very good understanding of technology. We've been like looking at it for a long period of time. Just giving you an example, fintech, the way UPI has been working in India, we are in a way like so used to technology, to the way we transact, the way we interact. That's one thing. But like the second thing, which is the like I think that's the most important thing, is like the amount of developers we have. 26 million developers, 2.6 million developers in India right now, 2.6. And these kind of developers are like very talented in a sorts, where they understand technology in a very native form. We're also English speaking, so that's one more bonus for us. We can communicate with the rest of the world in a much more easier way as well. The third thing is that the youth of the population is very much inclined towards crypto, and they want to understand and actually build for the world, right? I think like you rightly pointed out, for the first time in the first time in India, we are actually building for the world rather than building for ourselves. That's super bullish for us, right? And the sheer amount of people who are like getting onboarded onto this, the sheer amount of people who are like having life-changing decisions with respect to this, because I think crypto puts everyone at a level playing field where we all talk about quality and nothing else. Identity doesn't matter. And because of that, like Indians are able to build quality products, which we have continuously been putting out. We just like Polygon is just one name which is known much more on a global level, but like there are multiple projects out there like which are doing an amazing and phenomenal job out there. So yeah, completely bullish on India.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We'll dig deeper into it. Ajay, Arvind, okay, sorry. Avinash, what's your bullish case on India and what's your bullish case on Web3? Because you have a different perspective, right? Like, you've been investing in Indian companies for a really long time, and like, now they are unicorns, like big, this thing. So, what do you expect from Web3, right? And how is this transition happening? I'd like to know that story.
Sure. I think within Web3, I'll come via the gaming angle here, Dheeraj, right?
Go for
Now,
it.
let me give you a few stats here, right? Now, in terms of mobile game downloads, right? And you were part of the GameCon event, which we did in November as well. Indians download about 20% of global. Indians are responsible for about 20% of global mobile game downloads, right? That's the largest in the world, and that's say greater than the next two, which is USA and Brazil combined, right? So in terms of the appetite for gaming, we are right up there, right? But one of the main, I think, qualms about Indian gamers is that we don't pay for it. So I'll give you an example of PUBG, right? Just before the ban, 25% of global downloads of PUBG was in India, but less than 0.1% of the revenue came from India. Right. So in that sense, right, I think Web3 gaming, crypto gaming, NFT gaming, however you want to call it, right, has a huge potential in India, right? And GameFi, which is what it's called right now, I think would be the next big thing for Indian gaming, right? If you're able to, and this solves two major problems, right? Monetization and retention, right? And anywhere you give Indians a chance to make money, and we've seen from our investments as well, right? Dream 11, Winzo, and so on and so forth. When you're playing and you have the chance to make a bit of money here and there is huge amount of retention. And I think that's the bullish case for us here. We were saying, hey, we've seen the problems of game development companies, gaming companies prior, and Web3 blockchain kind of gives the opportunity to solve those problems, right? Of course, there are other issues coming out of it, which I think probably I'll touch about as and when we speak today, right? But that's the bullish case for us, right? We are the largest, probably largest gaming population in the world, combined with probably the most active or the most number of crypto account holders in the world, right? Varying accounts there, but more or less there, right? You cross the boat and you get GameFi, and that's where I think our thesis is.
And also, like, you have a set of super strong investment in gaming, so I think that also helps, right? Like, helping, maybe, I don't know, transforming Web2 games into Web3, and helping Web3 games understand how the market in India works. So I think that's a good advantage, like, you guys also have. So I just wanted to point that out. Yeah. Arvind, what is FTX's bullish case on India? Like, they've created a division very recently, right? So tell me more.
Yeah, of course. And I think stuff that Vish and Avinash said are definitely like parts of our bullish case for India. I think the strongest bullish case is definitely the developer talent in India. Uh, Historically, most of India's best developers and best talent had to go abroad. A lot of them found their ways to the US and went on to lead like large companies like Twitter and Google and so on. I think Web3 is one of those like unique places where the stuff you build is truly like global, especially like natively Web3 apps. So it kind of removes the arbitrage where you need to go abroad to get the same like value extraction and stuff. So I think like more and more as India starts adopting and embracing Web3, developers can like stay back home and build companies which are like the Web3 equivalent of Google and Twitter. I think, as Fish said, there's like 26 million developers. India's like a digital native country, very hungry for success. So yeah, I think the developer ecosystem is a part that we're like most excited about, and just the amount of like entrepreneurial talent there.
Yeah, that's a huge number. 2.6 million devs. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you for sharing that. Abhinav, what's your bullish case, right? Like, and you have a big portfolio, and a lot of them are Indian companies. So what are your guys' bullish case?
So I think everyone else also covered some brilliant points. Just touching upon those and like adding a few things. So one of the things that everyone mentioned was the largest developer population, and like Avinash rightly pointed out that there's also a huge demand side, that the users in Web3 in the Indian ecosystem is quite huge, and like the population that we can serve, given that it's English speaking, it has good access to internet and everything. I think the supply side as well as the demand side in Web3 and in India is like huge. So that's one. I also feel that India, being the largest democracy, has a sense of community and family that is like part of the culture, as well as uh, the whole national feeling that the country has. So Web3's core principles, which are around collaborativeness, democratization, decentralization, equality of opportunity, and everything, I think that is sort of inherent in India's DNA. So that forms a very big, I would say a very big uh, goal for us, that like, okay, maybe India is perfect, is the right place to have Web3 because the population is like that. Then there is the enterprising culture and mindset of the people, which is shifting towards the entrepreneurial side. Developers are trying to build new things as soon as possible, and people are trying to consume these things because they see a lot of value there. There is globalization of Indian talent, which Aravind covered for a while when talking about FTX, and then like India has become a unicorn factory. So that's always great to see. And finally, like we have some great like products as well as companies out of India. And Dheeraj, you mentioned like Polygon, EPNS. So there is like a successful playbook that has come out of the Indian digital asset ecosystem, which acts like as a motivator for the new founders and gives the community more and more confidence that people can build from like people from India can build very well, and people in India are ready to consume Web3 as much as possible.
This podcast was possible because of our sponsors, Brave and Unstoppable Domains. More about them next. Crypto scams are like box of chocolates. You never know which one you're gonna get. Especially if you're using a crypto wallet, which is a browser extension. You run the risk of attacks like phishing scams, account spoofing, data leaks, and theft. The best way to avoid getting attacked is using Brave Wallet. Brave Wallet is the first secure crypto wallet built directly into a browser, so no extensions required. With Brave Wallet, you can buy, store, send, and swap assets. You can even manage your portfolio and NFTs all in one place. Whether you're new to crypto or a seasoned pro, it's time to switch to Brave Wallet. Download Brave at brave.com/web3with and click the wallet icon to get started. You know what's the worst part about crypto? These long and complex wallet addresses. They can get so confusing. I know you hate them too. What if I told you I replaced my long wallet address with dheerajshah.nft? Yeah, that's my name. All thanks to Unstoppable Domains. They're the #1 providers of NFT domains. With Unstoppable Domains, you don't have to worry about renewal fees because you get to keep your NFT domain forever. You can get an NFT domain as well, maybe a .crypto, .nft.x, or something else. Go to unstoppabledomains.com right now and get your NFTs for as low as $5. I think we covered almost everything, right? Like, so I think we'll do like quick. We'll try to do quick answers because I have like a lot to ask you, and then like even the people will take away more from it. Guys, if you're liking, go retweet, share, tag all these guests. They're talking some amazing points. So yeah, you can quote them and write. And we will take requests like maybe at the end 10-15 minutes because I have a lot of questions to ask these guys. Yeah, and basically, guys, so I just want to know, like, your investment philosophy for your companies. So maybe I'll start with Avinash, then Aravind, Abhinav, Vish. This is how we can do.
Sure. So we're an early stage investor, Dheeraj. Seed, Series A, check size is between 250K to 10 million, right? And at this stage, most companies have little or no traction. They probably have a product, right? But the one thing which remains constant here is the founders, right? And we tend to index on the founders. Now, VC investments essentially are outlier investments, right? Which means that, hey, you are out of, say, probably 30, 40 investments you make, the entire fund will just be returned by at maximum 2 or maybe 3 companies, right? So essentially you are investing in founders who have to do superhuman type achievements right now to return the fund, right? And that doesn't happen overnight, right? So they must have a track record previously of having done something outlier in nature. So we tend to index on the founders first, and then probably go to product, and then eventually the market. Right? Yeah. So that's the short form of the investment philosophy.
Very cool. Very interesting. Very interesting. Abhinav?
Like just to put it concisely, I think we follow a 5T framework. We talk about team, as Avinash mentioned, and then technology is something that we are looking at, then traction and total addressable market, and finally the timing. So all these different, like the 5Ts, form our investment philosophy. And as Avinash rightly said, like, team is something that makes or breaks a product, especially in the early days. So we are always looking for strong founders, and then technology, traction, total addressable market, and timing from the rest of, like, I would say, a matrix which helps us make better investments.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I think Arvind, you're not
Hey,
taking. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think FTX venture fund is slightly different right now because I guess it's a $2 billion venture fund, and like initially, previously, when I guess before the venture fund was formed and we were investing, a lot of like the early stage things were like very exciting and interesting for us. But right now, given the size of the fund, what we're really trying to do is like find the next like Twitter and Google, which is like the Web3 version of that from India. And one of our thesis is also that like the Web3 versions of these like companies will be worth like multiples of what the Web2 versions of these companies are, because users are encouraged to like create more, produce more. There's a lot more like token holders and shareholders and stuff. So we're looking for like those kind of like 0 to 1 large scale companies that people can build, and we definitely do think that like developers from India and like talent from India could be the people who are building these. So that's probably what's most exciting for us. Companies which could be like a $10 billion company or like $100 billion company, and that's where we want to like allocate. And we're happy to like allocate like large amounts of like our resources and our time to like help these people get there.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's good to know. Vish, you guys have no idea how many follow up questions I have, but like I just want to do this, and then like I catch one of you and then like ask you a lot of questions. Vish, what's Sino Global's philosophy?
Yeah, putting in Matty's words, we do cool shit with cool people who are like building cool shit again. So I think that's a like shortest form of like all the four of us like what we do. Because to be honest, we all the thing, I think like majority of us like invest from seed to like Series C, Series A. But for us, it's also like everyone has been saying that it's traction, but for the founders as well, like one thing which we have been constantly seeing in India is that you need a little bit of like just directions in certain instances where founders need a little bit help and a little bit of push, a little bit of connections, a little bit of just making sure that they understand the market in the right sense of how it's going in the larger context, right? So Sino does everything with respect to that. We invest anywhere between like 250 to like about $10 million as well. It totally depends upon our conviction, but it's also to see that we see the larger ecosystem at play with completely chain agnostic. We see where the missing pieces are in the entire sector of the crypto market and try to fill the spaces there. I think in Sino, we believe that those spaces are the one which actually give us the most value. So yeah, that's it from Sino's side.
I love it, and I think like mm, it's like this with most of us in Web3, right? Like we are here to do cool shit with cool people, and like this is why I'm hosting this Twitter Spaces. I know it's not like investing, but this also like connects you with different people, and makes like gives you more perspective on things, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Okay, so guys, let's talk. I want to ask Arvind, like FTX Ventures is slightly new, and like you might be also talking to a lot of people from India, outside India, right? Like this is an open question, right? Like now, not necessarily India related. I just want to understand, as you guys, a lot of companies are pitching you, a lot of like you're talking to a lot of people to build your team. Okay, I think he dropped out. I will ask this to Avinash, right? You're talking to a lot of people. What are the positives and negatives you are seeing in like people who are building in Web3? And anyone who wants to answer, like no direct questions.
Sure. I think positives and negatives. I think one of the things we're seeing here in Web3, I think, Dheeraj, is I think the amount of money made in such a short period of time, right? I think people are considering that as to be the norm, right? Right now, I think over the last 1.5, 2 years at least, I think there's been a great amount of money made. And right now, I think all the founders who are coming in as well want to say probably launch their tokens as soon as possible, right? Or make sure that they're able to probably pump and dump in some sense, right? Their projects and so on and so forth, and not essentially looking at building for the long term, right? Because we've seen that over that 15 years, of investing in India, there are cycles, right? And the crypto winter was there, but right now I think there's a new crop of founders who have come in who did not particularly, go through the crypto winter, if I may, right? And right now are thinking that everything is hunky dory and it will continue as such, which I would think right now is not the case. But of course, I think we have been proven wrong multiple times as well. But I think building for the long term, and by long term I mean at least 3 to 5 years, is very few and far between right now.
That's very interesting, and I think it is a very important thing. I think even Vish was talking about, right, how he lost his entire money, because seeing that just changes a lot, right? Like, and I've spoken to, I think I was talking to someone who was like an investor in like the dot-com bubble, and like they saw it happening, right? Like when the dot-com bubble bust, and then people were building. And same, right? Like with crypto winter, it was such a bad time and people were still building, and not a lot of people have seen it. A lot of people have gotten the exposure in 2020, and it's always been green. It's always been up only. So like the worst side is like not seen by most people. So it's quite scary, especially when you're builders. Sorry, Arvind, I need to ask you the same question, right? Like you've been talking to a lot of people, you're interviewing people, you're talking to portfolio companies, or like potential portfolio companies. What are the goods and bads you're seeing right now?
Cool. Sorry, I dropped there, so I missed some of the earlier conversation. But yeah,
No.
to answer your question, some of the stuff that we're excited about are people building stuff, which I guess So one of the ideas is that like what we think of this, how can we like get like 1 billion people to use like cryptocurrencies, or how can we get like 1 billion people on board on blockchain technology? And a lot of stuff we see like previously, especially like start of like 2020, like to like probably like late 2021, were projects where people were, I guess, acquiring a lot of users through protocol incentives, but didn't really have like a plan to like scale to like billions of users or like even like millions of users. So a lot of like DeFi projects had like a couple of thousand users and would like be very circular, where they would give out protocol incentives and native tokens, and that would like attract some people who would like, once those protocol incentives stopped, they would leave. So some of the stuff we're like, excited about is like things that like people are like currently using, and how can you like make them smoother using like a crypto backend and like a Web2 or like a fintech front end. So stuff like we have seen recently is people trying to build decentralized betting markets on like Solana, or trying to build like uh, workflows or like DAO management tooling stuff. Which anything in like the software space, and anything which can like scale to like bring like billions of people into crypto is stuff we're excited about in general.
That's awesome. That's awesome, right? Like, so you want something building for a next billion people. That's pretty interesting. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about whoever wants to take this, a little bit about your portfolio companies. So maybe you know what? Let me just name some of all you guys, right? Like, so just this is for the audience, right? Like Woodstock has like they have Neo, they have Elrond, they have Bank Protocol, Paraswap, Uniland, FTX. Which was again right, like like launched very recently. They did something with IndiGG, AZA Finance, Kalari, like very early investors in Wazir. Like they've done a big check for Guardian, Sino. Again, like this is something I know, and like this is the most recognizable. But like I would like to know more about like your companies, which like might have. Okay, sorry, Sino. We have FTX, we have Solana, we have Polygon. So like these are all the companies, and like just between 4 or 5 of these, it's like almost an entire ecosystem, right? Like so it's so cool to have all of you, right? Like so I just want to know about your gems, or like whatever your investments you have made which turned out to be amazing, or like just like some stories from your portfolio companies. Maybe Abhinav can go first, and then Vish.
Yeah, sounds good. So just to cover the Indian side first,
Yeah.
about 30% of our portfolio is based in India, and
How many? How much?
about 30% of our
Wait.
portfolio, which is about approximately 20 companies. So we have invested in 20 companies that are based in India, and about 40% of our portfolio has an Indian founder, whether based in the US or the Europe. So like considering that, I think some of the top gems have come out like in the form of Elrond, based in Romania, and then Covalent, based out of Canada, whose founder is Ganesh. He comes from India. And probably Biconomy, which is like again Indian founder. Aniket is based in New Delhi. So these companies, I think the common theme across all of these has been a very strong founding team and very strong core principles around what they want to build. They always tackle a problem through a fundamental solution, and they look for relentlessness. So they're always at it, and no problem is, not like which cannot be solved. So I think those have been like some of our early investments, and we have like seen them do very well. And on the Indian side, we have made investments into Liminal, Arcana, Biconomy, Metasky, Persistence, Unmarshall, Router, Frontier, and like a almost like 10 more, which I like I cannot remember off the top of my head. But all of these like had very strong founding teams and have been pushing the boundaries across Web3. And as Aravind was mentioning, like the goal is to get the next set of billion people, the next set of 5 billion people that are going to come to Web3 in the next 5 to 10 years, and like we are here for the long term, and that's been our goal with our portfolio companies as well as whoever we try to talk to and add our best value. So over to Vish for the next round.
Hey, thanks, Abhinav. Yeah, Dheeraj, one thing I just like to say here is that I think all of us VCs play a probability and a possibility game, which we totally understand, including the risks. Some of our theses play out very early. That is where those companies actually become outliers, where they outperform even our like thesis, to be honest. The second part is that sometimes what happens, there's a delay in the thesis to actually play out because of multiple factors, even in the larger geopolitical sense of things. So for us, what we would like to say is that for us, like majority of our portfolio companies have done good, and just to name a few, like you rightly pointed out, was like Solana, FTX, Wintermute, Polygon, like then we have Vibe Network, we have Pith, which is coming out. Uh, so, like for us, it's totally that we totally believe that our thesis is would play out in the larger context of things. So these some of them are outliers, and some of them have really outperformed what our thoughts were. But there are companies which are in the forefront, which are building infrastructure and just take the right amount of traction and network effect to actually explode out there. Just wanted to like also just say that with respect to India, I think we have anywhere between 20 to 25% of our portfolios is from India and Indian founders as a whole. Delta Exchange is one which has like I think is right now the second largest options market in the world right now. So yeah, those are like some of our gems and larger companies.
Awesome, awesome. That's good to know. That's good to know. And cool. So, any interesting projects in your portfolio which you want the audience to look after, and who are not that big, but you personally would want to give some attention. I know you want to give it to all of them, but just on top of your head.
Oh, is that are you asking me?
Wants to take this. I have to moderate this. Okay,
Sure.
Avinash, can you?
I'll go first. I'll go first for sure, right?
Yeah,
I think, yeah. So I think here Guardian is a very interesting company here, Dheeraj, right? They did the drops for Amitabh Bachchan, Stanley's Chakra series as well. And they have a bunch of interesting kind of partnerships in the pipeline. You name it, right? Fashion brands, football clubs, so on and so forth. I think they are trying to go cream of the crop here and get those partnerships done and probably launch those NFTs for these football exclusive NFTs, if I may, for the football clubs, for the fashion brands and so on. Right, and they also have a bunch of other interesting projects in terms of GameFi and so on, right? I think which will eventually come up here, and also a bunch of infrastructure projects, right? So that's one company I think we are really bullish about, and I think they will also, and they're one of the few companies, if I may, who agreed to like say domicile fully in India and not go abroad as well, which I think is a rarity nowadays. I think with everybody moving to Singapore, Dubai, or Portugal, right? So that's there, and that's one company which I'm really excited about, and a few projects which you should keep an eye out when they launch.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Anyone else wants to take this question?
So there's not specifically a project, but it's an idea. There's actually a number of projects working on this, and there's one thing I'm like very excited about because I guess it brings together what Web3 is all about, and that is, I guess, like markets on Solana on order books. And I'll go into like details on like which like what kind of stuff these are. But one of like the beauty of like I guess building something on a blockchain is that it's composable and you have like open APIs and you can access it. For example, if you have like liquidity on FTX, if you're a Binance user, you can't access that liquidity. It's on a separate database. If you're on Binance, you can't trade FTX perps. Whereas if you like build something on a blockchain, people can like spin up like front ends, and you can have like many different websites and many different like interfaces, all like trading against the same order book. So there's two projects, I think, maybe more, who are building like decentralized betting markets on Solana, where you can bet on cricket matches, you can bet on like football, you can like bet on like various events, real world events, prediction markets and stuff. And one of the beauty of all of this is that that order book is built on Solana so that anyone can build a front end for it. So they build a protocol, but then I guess you can like build a front end for India and like have your own KYC. Someone else in a place where there's no KYC restrictions can build your own front end and like market it and extract fees and stuff. But all of that liquidity goes onto the same order book, and I think that really like is what like Web3 is all about, which is like composable, open, like databases. So that's one like idea I'm like quite excited about, and like looking forward to like seeing how that plays out this year.
Awesome. And I do hold some serum tokens because I mean, yeah, everything goes through it. So like, I no financial advice. Anyway, guys, I have a very interesting question. Again, open to all of you. Again, right? Like you're talking about like next million or maybe uh, I don't know, billion users to Web3, and I think India will be an integral part of it. So, like in US, Hollywood has really fueled Hollywood sports. All these stars have really fueled the NFT revolution, which has just kicked everything to like the mainstream, right? Like even if you see FTX, what they're doing, the advertisements, the Super Bowl, the Tom Brady partnership, and and whatnot, right? Like, and even all these actors, actresses, sports people buying Bored Apes. So it's really skyrocketed the NFT space, at least to the mainstream in the West. What are your theories or your ideas? Can Bollywood do the same for India? Can it be like a good on ramp to enter via NFTs and then go to DeFi and do all these other things, or just trade? Can cricket be that platform, or anything else which you have observed? Because I'm sure, right, this is the biggest things we have, right? Like we have talking about Bollywood. Kunal Kapoor is here. Hi Kunal. He's one of everyone knows who he is. He's an Indian actor. He's very much into Web3. He's doing some awesome stuff. And he has this project called Lab, and also wants to talk about using tech for the good and positive media outreach of tech. So just shout out to him. But again, coming back to the question, Bollywood, cricket, what else can fasten this process? Anyone who wants to take this?
Yeah, I just want to take this. Like, I think, Bollywood and cricket, they would definitely on ramp people, but I think, there's something else which would on ramp people a lot more faster. That is employment. Um, so for me, what I totally believe is that like when you employ someone with respect to Web3, right, and when they start with respect to a project, it's rather than you speaking to another person one on one and teaching them. A person who's employed in Web3 would basically employ 10 other people in a way by engaging with them in a conversation, making them understand the nuances. Like I just went to like one of those conferences in like Web3 boot camp. So basically, when you see people there so enthusiastic of learning about it for opportunities out there, it just makes them the most like evangelist out there who's making the case for crypto. I think that would be the best on ramp out there for the next 100 billion users, because every person employed would speak to about 20 30 people out there in the in society at large, to make sure that they understand crypto in its true way or in a different perspective than what others want to do. So rather than uh, yeah, so I really believe employment is the way.
I love that answer, Vish. Honestly, brilliant, and I think it's very important, because I was just okay. I just want to share a small story. Like just before, Bloomberg yesterday posted an article saying if you make anything under 300K, you're poor, right? Like you should do XYZ, and then just Gajesh commented on like Loom Dart or Sad Dart's post that like, oh, in India people don't even make 30K. If you make 30K a year, you're super rich. And like, people like, why don't you just get a better job? Right? Like, so this is the perception that most of us, we don't understand is like, like comparatively, we don't have extreme high wages in the country. And like talking about employment, if you are employing people in Web3, what I've seen is fair wages, which are like significantly higher than like most jobs. So if we can provide like people with Web3 jobs, their standard of living goes significantly higher. That means the people living around them standard of living also goes high, because like your spending power increases. So I can see like if we adopt Web3 in a global manner, like our GDP can rise, and like we can have a lot of inflow of money from West. So like I just wanted to put this out there. Anyone else has any thoughts, like please continue.
I think Dheeraj, your wish is spot on, right? Probably I'll reframe it in a way saying that, hey, there's skin in the game. Right now, cricket and Bollywood, or even other kind of regional film industry uh, um, people, right? That is a very good segue because there's familiarity there, right? And here, if and most NFT projects I've seen, at least in India, right? They put out the NFTs and there's no roadmap for it, right? So it just stops then and there. So I definitely say if there's some skin in the game, in gaming, probably it's guilds there. Right, and in NFTs, probably for cricket or Bollywood NFTs, it's about the roadmap there, right? And so these projects essentially, the more you interact with them, the more habit forming happens, right? And think of it like, hey, if you have to get used to a Swiggy or Zomato, right? The trick is that after the sixth or the seventh order, it becomes more or less a habit, right? So how do you get people to interact over 6-7 times with the particular Web3 interface? And that's by having some skin in the game, right? So either you make them invest a small amount, or you have some part of their lives intertwined with it in some way, right? And then I think that's the way to go about it right now. I think Vish was spot on in his answer there as well.
One idea that I guess FTX Ventures would be quite excited to back and work with would be also like NFTs used as tickets, because we think tickets are like great use cases for NFTs. Non-fungible, prevents like fraud and prevents people from selling fake tickets. It's something you can hold on to in your digital wallet.
AGM, you're muted. Arvind, you're mute. Yeah.
Sorry, broke up for a second. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, you were muted. Sorry.
I was muted. Yes, sorry. Yeah, I was saying. So if anyone in India is like excited about like building like NFT ticketing platform for cricket or something like that, that'd be something we'd be super excited to back.
Awesome. So guys, if you're doing something like that, do reach out to Arvind. All right. So any challenges you guys are facing when it comes to funding, people, funding talent? Like, is there a gap? So like, I'm just asking this so like people can take away and try to fill the gap, and like when they're approaching you, it's a better this thing. So yeah, like this is my question. Maybe Abhinav can take this.
Yeah, I think the gap generally has been like, the inertia to move from the traditional space to Web3. A lot of people see this as a black box because they're just not uh, they just not have the complete knowledge about Web3 or do not understand blockchains and feel that maybe their lack of knowledge in this space can act as a barrier. But I think that's a wrong assumption, because like when I started in the Web3 space, I knew literally nothing. Like I was just learning something every day because I just wanted to read, and I understood the core principles of Web3, which is about inclusiveness and contributiveness and collaboration and everything. I saw that as a more efficient system that can probably change the way traditional things work. So, like to everyone out there, I think uh, the key thing to probably gain more knowledge about Web3 is just to take a step forward, try it out, get a probably a crypto wallet, or maybe read about Bitcoin, read the white paper if you can understand the technicals, or watch a video about Web3, what it is actually trying to achieve, uh, and just cross that chasm of uncertainty and jump into the space. I think that is literally a gap, and it's a gap that everyone can cover by just taking a leap of faith and saying, okay, maybe let's just try it out and not just stick to the inertia of the traditional world that we have.
Awesome. This is this my friend Anirudh is here, who works with Geo and handles Geo Next, Geo Gen Next investments, and this is maybe this will help him. Because this is something he asked me. I want to ask you guys because you've been doing this for a long time. I am a traditional investor, like an angel or a VC. I've been investing in all these startups for a very long time. How do a person how can a company like me get into Web3, just some tips, tricks? What do you guys suggest? Some hands you have burnt. Maybe Avinash can take this one, and then we'll go with Vish.
So there is just to confirm the question, right? You're saying how do angel investors get into Web3
How do
space?
you transition from being a Web2 investor to a Web3 investor? This is the question.
Oh, got it. All right. So I think the first thing here is I think any angel investor should recognize that most Web3 companies, and if an angel investor domiciled in India, right, most Web3 companies are not domiciled in India. Right now, if that is the case, then you will have to come under the regulator's purview. I think there is a limit each year of about you can only take out 250K outside of India. Right, to invest in companies which are domiciled outside of India if you're an Indian citizen. I think that's the first thing you should be cognizant about there. But the second thing here is like a typical angel investment portfolio in Web2, right? You would probably invest in about 10, 15 companies and probably one or two will be breakouts. I think the same pattern follows here as well, right? And you get started with friends, right? Friends who are in the space already, they refer you deals. And I think you pay it back as well, as in when you gain more credibility and traction from your portfolio, right? But I think one should be cognizant of the fact that most Web3 companies are not domiciled in India, and they do not have direct Indian subsidiaries. They just have a services agreement with Indian subsidiaries, right? So that's something I think everybody should be aware of when you're getting into the space.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Vish, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak about the legal or the structure aspect of it, but rather the team aspect of it, right? Because one thing which Web2 to Web3 transition requires a completely different mindset where you're just flipping the triangle on its head. And that's what I truly believe in. So one thing what I would suggest is that first, hire degens because they get the space. They're totally like looking at the space with respect to Hawkeyes everywhere. They know what new protocol is out, how it's going to work, why it's going to work as a whole. Second thing is don't go for experience, but rather experience in the sense like TradFi experience, but rather people who have experience in the space, right? Like what I mean is stop looking at where they've studied, what they've done, which degree they hold, but rather pull out your MetaMask data, ask them to pull out, blockchain data at a whole and say that show me your trades you've made, or why did you pick a particular thesis as a whole? Because I think that makes a lot more sense with respect to hiring for Web3. Because before, what used to happen in Web2 was that to get an hands-on experience, you needed a bigger chunk of the pie to get in, but now you don't, right? To be honest, I started off at a very initial stage with about $100 to $200. Multiplied that, understood how the space works. So I think that is what is more required in the space. Like a change in mindset from rather than looking at it from like a complete team overhaul is what I would suggest.
Wow, I wish that's a good take. I like it, and I think that's exactly how you joined Sino Global Capital. I saw Matty posting like we're looking for Indian degens. Maybe not these words, but and you applied and then you got so and now you're it's just amazing. So higher degens, and the issue is there are very less degens. So you have to be quick to get the best talent or nurture more degens. So the whole point of these spaces is we get more and more degens from out of this, and connect you with good people and good ideas. So I have a question open. You can raise your hand up if you want to take this. The current Indian uncertainty about Indian regulations and the government regulations, does it make it difficult for you to invest in the country? Anyone who wants to take this?
It doesn't make it difficult to invest in the country per se, as a lot of these projects are, I guess, incorporated in Singapore or Dubai. What it does make it difficult is to offer crypto services in India, whether that be like ways for people to onboard to crypto exchanges or receive remittances in cryptocurrencies and stuff. And that's quite sad because I think like India as a whole and people are missing out a lot on this. And there's less developers coming from India into the Web3 ecosystem because I guess the stigma associated with something that's like unregulated. So I guess our hope for like 2022 is that we're like very excited to work with like regulators in India and to like comply to like all the stuff that like regulators want like cryptocurrency exchanges to comply with. But our hope for 2022 is like a more comprehensive framework for cryptocurrency regulation in India.
Yeah, I think here one thing is even though the taxation policy has come into place and people are not too happy here and there about it, it's a very good first step, right? For having now no step at all, I think that's a very good first step right now. I think over time it will evolve, right? Now, does it make it difficult for say people who are domiciled in India to do business in India in terms of Web3 and crypto investments? To an extent, yes, right. But I think we do expect that to clear over time as and when crypto adoption becomes more mainstream.
Very cool. Arvind, I have a question for you. So, when FTX launch in India?
So yeah, I guess we're not planning to launch until we get more like clarity from regulators on what the regulatory framework is. In most countries where we do operate, we are like fully licensed and fully compliant, and we work with the regulators very closely. One thing we're looking for is if there's some way to use external payment processors to get INR on ramps, and that's something we're exploring and probably very close to. But a full launch in India, I think we're probably weeks to months away, and waiting for more clarity from Indian government and Indian regulators on this.
Awesome. But good to know. I think it will shake things up because most of our um, centralized exchanges have been built in, and just getting a global player is going to be interesting. That's all I have to say. Very cool. We will take some questions in a second, but I want to ask you guys, how can builders listening to any tips you have for any builders who are building in the Web3 space, be it native people or already building, few things they should remember before pitching you.
Uh, I'll go first. So I just want to say that every builder should be very genuine in what they're trying to do. Be yourself, and like whatever you feel should be solved in the Web3 space. Present it out. And I think every VC here and otherwise will always try to improve that solution no matter what. So we are here to help. We are an enabler. You are the builder. So always stay true to what you are and go for the long-term vision that Avinash, Aravind, and Vish, everyone talked about, that we are here to be in the space for the next 10, 15, 20 years, and we want to see that adoption come in.
Awesome. Vish, you wanna go next?
Yeah, sure. First thing, like I want to tell all the people who are like who come on a pitch is that first you need to take a breather, man. Like I get it, like you're on the other side, you're like looking for funding, you're like emotions are running high, but first thing you need to remember is that everyone can actually do this, right? So believe in yourself first. The second thing I want to say is that, like, when you're coming for a pitch, just be very clear about why you want to build this product. If you're clear on that, everything else gets answered by itself, because answers come in very genuinely. You're very like your tech is you're very open about your tech. Multiple things, your team is in the right fit. Then you will be very open with respect to what you want with respect to having a particular fund on board, because I think like now what is happening is that people are building cap tables in a way that a product succeeds in its in its best possible way. So I think all these factors considered, yeah, like these are some of the things which I think is most essential.
All right. Thank you for sharing. I think I'll just take one last. Sorry, I'll ask one last question, and then we can take a couple of questions before we close this. Where, I mean, I think we've just spoken on it, but like just want to hear from you, right? Like, where do you think the Indian Web3 landscape is going? Anything which you have not shared before? Anyone, two people who want to take this?
I think currently it's going abroad, and I think that's probably the saddest thing that we're seeing, where it's going to Dubai, it's going to Singapore, and it's leaving India. And yeah, I think that's something we should all feel like quite sad about.
Yeah, I totally agree with Arvind.
So what do you think, Vish? What do you think about it? Because we've seen it happen over a period of time. Like, the best builders are going Dubai, are going Singapore, are going, like, what can we do?
See, I think the first thing which needs to be done, to be honest, with respect to the regulation aspect, is to divide that make that clear distinction between something which is speculative and something which is sweat-based earning, right? Because I think that is one thing which is very very important right now. And as soon as you bring in that, you would see a basic like the drop in the people going abroad. Because I think right now, just think about this. I'm raising in India. All of a sudden, I'm hit with 30% taxation without actually doing anything. Also, from the aspect of a developer or a builder who's trying to like make a good app with respect to or a protocoler is working on a protocol or a new company, and he's basically getting sweat equity in the form of tokens, but he's getting penalized for that until the product is not released. So like there are multiple aspects of it which needs to change. But one thing on a larger aspect, I believe, is that we all need to petition to the government and make them understand this is a necessity in India, because we have on multiple aspects in the past missed out on opportunities where we have regretted as a country later, and this is one opportunity we should not miss. This is my understanding, and this is my request to people who are listening in.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. So we're taking some questions, but like we have to keep in mind the limited time we have, and the speakers also have to go. So one question per person, and make it quick, right? Like no second question. I 1 second. Gaurang, do you want to go first? One question very quickly.
Uh, just give me a moment. I'll skip. Probably you can take someone else. I'm just
Okay,
finishing up some.
Parv, sorry, however you pronounce your name, go for it. Parv. Okay, no, never mind. Desi verse.
Hi, Dheeraj. Thanks for having me here.
No.
I have a question for all the speakers around adoption of crypto in India. This space was amazing. I'm glad I attended. However, it was more focused around builders, and I glanced at the audience as well, and it was mostly builders from India, which is awesome. That's a huge huge advantage that India has. We've got a lot of really young and smart people, but I'm more interested in understanding how we can bring more education and knowledge about Web3 to India, and onboard more people sooner rather than later. And I was wondering if you guys have thought about this, or like, do you think this is like kind of going to organically happen over the next few years, and it's sort of like a long-term challenge?
Yeah, honestly speaking, like I think it's rather than one aspect. What has to be done is taken it up on multiple fronts. With respect to adoption, I'd like to break it down into multiple aspects of it. For example, I would say that we need retail people to understand what the tech is to get more tech savvy and jump in on that. The second aspect is Web2 developers understand the actual power of Web3 and bring them on board with respect to that as well. So I don't think it's one single thing what we can do, but rather multiple ripples you actually create in the ecosystem so that it all comes together at some point and there is traction and also network effects which are coming into play, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I think as a VC front, I think multiple, all of us are here are doing that because if I'm not wrong, like we all sponsor Web3 camps. We all make sure hackathons happen. We all make sure that we reach out to colleges, we reach out to students, we make sure that they understand what they're missing out on. We show them the opportunities out there in which they can achieve excellence in as well. So I think all of us here are on a constant basis doing that so that to make sure that the entire ecosystem in India is developed as a holistic manner rather than in a much more segregated way.
Yeah, and we also do spaces like this, which help to build a little bit of education as well. So just want to cue in my Gitcoin grant. I'm just tagging it. If you like anything we do, you can go and like donate 10 die up to whatever amount you want, and it get quadratically funded. So yeah, anyway, right, like, so it's bunch of things you can do together to increase, right? Like you, like in crypto you need NFTs, you need DeFi, you need everything, and it's interoperable, so it works. Sai Prasad, I will ask you to take, like, your question. You are a hardcore technologist and a fintech expert with 21 years of experience. I'm looking forward for your question.
Hey Vish, and hello everyone. One thing I would like to get your inputs on is about the identity part. In the Web3 world, we know that all the enterprises and the enterprise level adoptions. The challenge is that from the compliance perspective, more of the enterprise level organizations is facing is that in order to have this Web3 hookup with them, the KYC and the identity and this kind of a thing, that the major challenge that they're facing. And how do you see this challenge being overcome from the Web3 perspective?
Yeah, can you sorry, Sai, can you repeat the question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Repeat.
Okay. So my question is more from the identity perspective. Having, let's say you have a wallet, right? I am using my wallet. I have my NFTs. I'm using this wallet for my transactions.
Mhm.
From the enterprise level adoptions, if the enterprises wants to use the Web3 and want to have this Web3 adoptions, the conventional way of this enterprise adoption challenge that we face is the identity. How do we make sure this particular wallet belongs to Wish, this wallet belongs to Sai, and how do we cater to those KYC or the compliance related issues for more larger adoptions?
Okay, so let's. I mean, does anyone want to take? Okay, Vish wants to take. Go, great.
Yeah, like here, one thing like I want to say is that with respect to identity, I think blockchain flips it on the head. And what I mean by that is, see, until now, we were told what our identification was, right? Like, just giving you an example is that we have an Aadhaar card, we have a passport, we have a tax ID as well, we have a tax number as well. But I think in blockchain, it flips it. What I mean by it flips it is that you basically get to choose what your identity is and what and who you want to share it with as well. I think this is one thing which right now I don't know how it's going to settle out, but I think this is the key thing which a couple of people are missing out, because in blockchain, the end user is the one who's the most empowered. So the most empowered actually gets to decide what their identity is. So what I mean by that also is that I might have like a wallet which is completely a DeFi degen, but also I might have a wallet which is completely good with trading as well. And there might be another wallet of mine which is holding my NFTs. I might not want to like show a third party all the three of my wallets, but rather I would want to show the wallet which I think would make sense to show you to get the best out of whatever the service you're providing. So I think flipping it on the head is what is required even with respect to identity. Even now, certain companies, regulations, Web2 people think about identity as a single layer. I don't think it is so. It is actually multiple different layers which are like embedded into one, or certain data points are picked off from a larger identity of sorts. But um, for me, it's what you as a user want to show me. That's the way I look at it.
And just to add to the institution side, I think the problem is not about identity. The problem is about regulations and how the institutions actually be compliant with the regulatory body all throughout. So that's probably the main challenge that is stopping institutions from coming on board and becoming a part of Web3 in order to drive global adoption. It's not like, as Vish mentioned, like identity is a multifaceted entity when it comes to Web3. Like you can be anything in one metaverse and you can be something else in another metaverse, or even in the digital space like Twitter or any social media on Discord, etc. And that is the true essence. Like you take back the privacy that was, supposed to be initially, as an opt out method, but now you're going to just have privacy inbuilt, and that is what you're being a part of in Web3.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Abhinav and Vish. Guys, if you are enjoying these spaces, go follow Vish, Ashu, Abhinav, AGM, Avinash, and yeah, do a retweet and tell you are enjoying this. So that'll be pretty cool. And Parv is here. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right, but can you ask your question this time?
Question is,
Okay, is it just me or his voice is breaking?
Yeah, it's breaking for me as well.
Okay, Parv, DM me your question. Nilansh is an 18-year-old who's building a Web3 social network. Hi, Nilansh. What's your question?
Hi everyone, am I audible?
Yep.
Right, so first of all, I'm traveling, so sorry if you hear the background noise of cars honking and stuff.
No problem, go on.
Right, so I had a very niche question that what would be the future in building in Web3 be for founders who are generalists and towards the younger side of age, because it's a very niche space for not being able to code yourselves. However, having a very distinctive mind in business building in Web3, but again being of very low pedigree.
Okay, so your question, okay, Abhinav, I'll just repeat the question for the audience. Your question is, what can a generalist builder do, like when you're young, right? Like, is that okay?
In the Web3 space,
in,
right?
in the Web3 space. So, Abhinav first, then Vish. Go for it.
So, Nilansh, it's great that you have started out at the age of 18, and like right now you might find yourself being a generalist, but as you go forward, you'll probably gain one skill set more than the other. The best way to build a project or a company in Web3 is to surround yourself with people who have similar visions, as well as have those special skills that you think would be the perfect fit to build the right product. So as a generalist, maybe your ability could be to find the best of people and bring out the best of people from whatever skill sets they have. So maybe that's the approach you start off with, and slowly and gradually you yourself specialize in something in one way or another and take it forward.
Yeah, go for it, Vish.
Yeah, like honestly speaking, right? I think this is like a fallacy of sorts that you believe that a generalist cannot do um, good in the Web3 space because no one really cares, man. One thing what I would see a team, a complete comprehensive team is one trader, one tech guy, and one generalist. And I have my thesis for that. The tech guy understands the tech, the trader understands how to accrue value to the token, and the generalist basically sees in the larger landscape of things what can he add and subtract to the product to make it usable. So I really believe generalists hold a different view of the world, which is very important. And for this, I think like you being a generalist is good. Focus on like Abhinav was saying that focus on one thing as well, but never let go of the generalist tendency because at the end, a generalist is who should use a particular product. Even the UI UX should be very inclined to a generalist rather than a developer or a trader. Unless and until it's a trading platform. So I think generalists do play an important role and do continue to do what you're doing.
Awesome, awesome. Avinash, you also want to add something?
Yeah, just one addition to this, Nilansh. I definitely say, solve a problem that you particularly have had, right? Now, I think that probably you would explore the space a bit, traded a few tokens, bought a few NFTs, so on and so forth, right? And as and when you got into the rabbit hole, you'd have faced a few issues yourself, right? And if you're able to, I think, first solve for that, right? I think that would be the best way to start here, rather than solving a problem which, say, probably you read about and so on and so forth, right? So I'll just leave it at that in terms of how you would, if you are 18, how to start it, right? And I think right now, in terms of leveling the playing field, there is no better leveler than Web3 today, right? Even better than Web2. So I think you got everything going for you, and just solve a problem you have to start out with, and I think all the blocks should fall in place.
Hey, thanks a lot. I'll actually DM'd you all regarding what I'm building, so check it out. Thanks.
Yeah. Like we said, don't be over. And I mean, it's okay. I'm just joking. Akash Gupta, do you have any question?
Sure. Thanks a lot. Hi, Abhinav. Hi, Vish. My question is for AGM, and that is specifically around FTX in India. Kind of want to understand what unique experience FTX plans to add to India, since there's already a few exchanges. So just wanted to understand what you're bringing to that mix. Also, I have a podcast which I wanted to plug, but I realized that I haven't put the link in my bio. So messed that opportunity up. But
So,
yeah, just that question.
make a post. I'm happy to pin it.
Awesome, awesome. I'll do
Yeah.
that.
And just say
Thanks a
hi
lot.
to Avinash as well. You missed him.
Oh, I mean, I kind of know Vishal and Abhinav from before. That's why. But
Okay.
yeah, hi Avinash and everyone else.
Sorry. Yeah, ask Arvind.
Um,
Arvind, the question is basically what experience you want to, which you're bringing to India specifically from FTX. What will be something new, something fresh?
Sorry, yeah, my line was bad there. So the question is, what experience are FTX bringing to India? Is that right?
so basically, want to understand what you're adding on to in comparison to what you already have with the ZRX, DCX, and a
Yeah,
few
yeah,
other
perfect,
exchanges.
perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I guess one of the things is that FTX is like a global exchange, and for us, like consumer protection, investor protection, being regulated and compliant, and all, it's like very very important for us. Uh, we allow like a wide range of services not currently available in India. So if someone in India wants to invest in Tesla stocks or invest in like shares in like abroad, it's currently not possible to do. Maybe it is through some other apps, but definitely not through like cryptocurrency exchanges. We offer like perpetuals and derivatives tradings, options. But one of like the main things is that like FTX is cross collateralized. And I think that's very different to like any other exchange or anything we have like seen before, in the sense that I can like have Tesla shares in my account, and then I can use that value I have of Tesla shares and go buy some Bitcoin or something. And I can buy Bitcoin on margin because I have Tesla shares that has value. Eventually, when we like add like FTX Pay, or when we add credit cards and debit cards and stuff for like multiple countries, we plan to add that in India. You can go to the shop and you can buy a banana, and you can pay for that banana by borrowing against your Tesla shares or the Bitcoin you have in your account. So currently in India and in most of the world, there's like number of apps. So you have a separate app for your bank account, you have a separate app for your stock trading, you have a separate app for your cryptocurrencies, you have a separate app for your NFTs and stuff. FTX plans to be like one app where it can be your bank account, people can send you money to it. It can be your digital wallet, you can spend money from it, and through FTX Pay you can spend money in the real world with it. It can be your stock trading, it can be your like cryptocurrency trading. It's also a wallet where you can withdraw into the DeFi world. It's also like an NFT platform. So what we really plan to offer in India, our end goal is to offer like a complete full suite of like financial products which enable like people in India to be able to access all of these products and also interact with like rest of the world. If they want to receive remittances, if they want to get paid from abroad, if they do like micro tasks, you can have like streaming money and stuff. So yeah, I guess our vision in India is like pretty broad and general. And yeah, given like the opportunities of like size in India for these kind of stuff, we are quite excited by this as well.
Yeah, thanks for that, and definitely looking forward to you and Binance fighting it out. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, I was tweeting. I was tweeting what Aravind said. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm muted. Arvind is like, oh, you can buy a banana from using your Tesla stock as collateral. I'm like, mind blown. I don't need to sell. I don't need to sell to pay rent. Yay. I'm looking forward for that. Awesome. I think we won't take any more questions. Guys, just want to hear how's your experience talking here, and yeah, let's go with that. Anyone, maybe two of you.
Hey,
Yeah.
Dheeraj. Go ahead.
Yeah. Wish,
You
I
know,
mean,
please go ahead.
Hey, no. I was just saying, Dheeraj, I think you're doing a pretty great kind of initiative here as well every day, if I may, right? So thank you so much for the invite. And one thing I think after Nilesh did and he talked about his company, right? One thing which just came to my mind was if you're ever raising for a Web3 company or trying to build a company, right? One of the quotes which come to mind is from the rapper Pitbull, right? Which he says, if you want money, ask for advice. And sorry, if you want, if you want advice, ask for money, and if you want money, ask for advice, right? And essentially, I think that's the way to go about it if you're ever raising money. And I think now is probably the best time in Indian history for Web3. Or rather, it's never been ever better to start a Web3 company, right? So thank you for all the initiatives which you're doing as well.
awesome. Thank you. That's another great quote. I will go on tweeting after this. Wish, you want to say something?
Yeah, just wanted to say, like, yeah, man, like you do an amazing job, which you continuously do with. I don't know how much. Where do you get your energy from? I would just like say that
Vitamin
continue to.
D3 and B12. I had. I'm taking shots. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I would just like say what Avinash just said, like continue to please doing this, educate more people, try to get them into the Web3 space, help builders navigate the space. And I think that's and speaking here has been a amazing pleasure for me because I think as VCs we hardly get to speak. I think every single time we are the ones who are sitting down and listening. uh, so I think finally we get to speak something.
That's awesome. I wish you can always message me and we can talk if you need to speak. And all of you guys as well. Guys, any closing thoughts? Any closing comments? Abhinav, Arvind, not related to the spaces, but just the entire thing we discussed about Web3 in India and investing in India and building in India.
I would just say reach out to any of us anytime. We are always here to listen, as Vish mentioned. And hopefully, Dheeraj invites us again to talk as well. So, a pleasure being here. And thank you so much for everyone for staying up, especially in India. It's almost 12. So, thanks a lot.
It will really depend on Woodstock's contribution in my Gitcoin grant. So it depends on that. Abhinav. Just kidding. Guys, how do people reach out to you if they have a pitch or if they have a question or if they want to work with you? What are the best ways to go about it? Avinash, Aravind, Abhinav, Vish.
Yeah, so email is avinash@kalari.com and Twitter DMs are open. So shoot me an email or Twitter DM and we can take it forward from there.
Yeah, DM's open for me too. And thanks so much, D. This is awesome.
Likewise.
I think wish.br at Sino Global Capital is my email. I'm anyways going to tweet it out after this. And the second thing is like my Twitter DMs are open. So yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Thank you guys for taking your time out and being here. It was very fun to talk to you. I generally don't talk much about investing in VCs and angels and all this stuff because I'm like, hey, if we can do an ICO or like an NFT sale, why do we need VCs? But again, there is obviously a need because, like there's money and there's smart money, right? Like, so it can bring on and getting added to a ecosystem is quite interesting. So thank you, Avinash, Aravind, Abhinav, Vish, for being here. I just want to thank everyone, all the people who asked questions. I want to thank all the listeners. I see Melvin, I see MJ, I see Gaurang, Scorsese, April Fool, Akshita, Tanmay, Raghu, Erica, Akshay, Desiverse, Headache. I can go down, but I shouldn't. Thank you, guys. If you like what we're doing, please follow me. Please follow Vish, Abhinav, AJM, Avinash, even Ashu, who helps me do all of this. So yeah, he's been an integral part of this. And and honestly, it was great talking to you guys. And thank you for helping the ecosystem grow. And looking forward for more of these, right? Like we'll maybe go deep down into DeFi or NFT investment and whatnot, and get your actual insights on how do you go about these philosophies. So thank you guys.